never been manipulated by someone you hated. It's always someone you trusted, someone you loved, someone who knew exactly where you were soft. And that's the part no one talks about. Because manipulation doesn't look like what you think it looks like. It doesn't arrive with a warning. It doesn't feel like control. It feels like a decision you made. A thought appears inside your mind. And because it appears there, you assume it belongs to you. A feeling rises in your chest. And because you feel it, you trust it. Guilt, fear, urgency, the desperate need to explain yourself. The anxiety that appears the second someone goes quiet. All of it feels personal, natural, reasonable. But here's what psychology actually shows us. What feels like your own choice often began as someone else's influence. This is why dark psychology is so difficult to notice. Not because people are foolish, not because they are weak. Because manipulation rarely begins by attacking your reason. It begins by touching the places inside you that already want relief. The fear of being rejected, the need to be understood, the hunger for approval, the shame you never fully questioned, the old belief buried so deep you forgot it was a belief, that love must be earned through self-abandonment. Once someone learns how to reach those places, they don't need to force you. They only need to influence the story your mind tells itself. And from there, you begin to move. Not because you were pushed, but because something inside you was quietly guided. Most people imagine manipulation as something obvious, a lie, a trap, a villain, a clear moment of domination. Real psychological manipulation is almost never that. Someone never said, "Don't go out with your friends," they just got quiet, distant, slightly cold, and you'd spend the whole night checking your phone, wondering what you did wrong. Until staying home started to feel easier than the anxiety of leaving. You told yourself it was love, but what you were really learning was emotional survival. Someone never asked you to cancel your plans. They just mentioned, casually, how hard things had been for them lately, how alone they had been feeling, and suddenly your excitement about the weekend felt like selfishness. You cancelled. They seemed better. You felt relieved. Then it happened again, and again, until your needs started feeling like inconveniences, even to yourself. Someone didn't call you crazy. They just said, "I never said that." You're remembering it wrong. You always do this. And slowly, you started bringing them into your own memories to check if they were real. You stopped trusting yourself. That's when control becomes complete, when the person being controlled becomes their own jailer. This is what's actually happening across thousands of relationships right now. Not dramatic abuse, not obvious villains. Affection that appears only when you behave correctly. Words twisted until you question your own memory. Urgency created so you don't have enough time to think. Praise given just often enough to make you dependent on approval. And the strange part is that, from the inside, it may not look like manipulation at all. It may look like loyalty, compassion, patience, keeping the peace. But there is a kind of peace that is not really peace. It is only the absence of immediate punishment. Many people live there for years. They don't ask, "Is this healthy?" They ask, "How do I avoid making them upset?" That small shift changes everything. Because the center of your decision-making has moved. You are no longer acting from your own clarity. You are acting from fear of another person's reaction. And yet, because the fear is happening inside you, it still feels like your choice. Here's the part that's uncomfortable to admit. Manipulation doesn't always create a new wound. It finds an old one. Then it speaks through it. Carl Jung put it plainly, what remains unconscious in us tends to shape our lives from the shadows. If you don't know what you're afraid of, someone else can use that fear as a handle. If you're not aware of the kind of validation you secretly crave, you may become loyal to anyone who gives you just enough of it. If your deepest shame remains unseen, another person can make you work endlessly to prove you are worthy. The unconscious mind is not evil, but it is impressionable. It carries old stories, stories installed before you were old enough to question them. I must keep people happy to be loved. If someone is upset, it must be my fault. If I say no, I will be abandoned. If I'm not useful, I'm not valuable. When these stories still operate inside you, manipulation doesn't feel foreign. It feels familiar. Robert Cialdini spent decades studying influence and persuasion. One of the principles he became known for is commitment and consistency. Once people see themselves as committed to something, they often feel pressure to keep acting in a way that matches that commitment. And this becomes unsettling when the commitment was never freely chosen. Maybe it began as a childhood role, the responsible one, the quiet one, the one who keeps everyone calm, the one who never says no, which means a manipulator does not always need to convince you of something new. Sometimes they only need to awaken an old agreement you made before you had the words to refuse it. And here is perhaps the most disturbing part. Sometimes we don't notice manipulation because part of us wants to believe it, not consciously, not intentionally, but emotionally. A flattering lie can feel better than a difficult truth. A controlling relationship can feel safer than loneliness. Being told what to do can feel like relief when you are exhausted from thinking for yourself. This doesn't mean the victim is to blame. It means that freedom requires self-knowledge. Manipulation also hides behind speed. When someone wants to bypass your deeper intelligence, they pressure you to decide now. Before you think, before your body has time to register discomfort, before your inner voice has a chance to speak. You felt this. A conversation suddenly escalates, and you feel you must respond immediately or something terrible will happen. A message carries just enough emotional weight that answering feels more urgent than breathing. Urgency narrows perception. A rushed mind doesn't explore. It searches for escape. And the fastest way to reduce tension starts to look like the right choice. This is why one of the simplest forms of inner protection is also the most underestimated. The pause. A pause interrupts the spell. It lets the nervous system settle. It creates enough space for a different question to form. Why do I feel pressured right now? What am I afraid will happen if I say no? Is this truly my choice, or am I just trying to escape discomfort? These questions return ownership of your own attention, and whoever owns your attention has enormous power over your life. Another reason manipulation is so hard to leave is that it rarely comes alone. The person may not lie all the time. Sometimes they are kind. There are moments of warmth, real vulnerability, humor, tenderness. They may have helped you when no one else did. They may understand parts of you that no one else has ever seen, and that is what makes the pattern so difficult to name. This creates genuine confusion because the mind wants clean categories, safe or dangerous, loving or harmful. But human beings are rarely that simple. Someone can care about you and still manipulate you. A wounded person can still wound others. This is why people stay. They remember the good moments and explain away the repeated damage. Maybe I'm overreacting. They also did so much for me. It only happens when they're stressed. Bessel van der Kolk spent years studying how trauma lives not only in thought, but in the body. And one of the most painful realities of trauma is that the nervous system can become organized around danger, relief, and survival. The body does not always ask, "Am I loved?" Sometimes it only asks, "Has the threat stopped?" And when relief follows fear often enough, the nervous system can begin to confuse relief with safety. That is not weakness, it is conditioning. Sometimes these statements contain pieces of truth, but truth doesn't erase pattern. A beautiful moment doesn't cancel repeated control. An apology loses meaning when the same wound is created again and again. At some point, awareness must become stronger than attachment. Attachment asks, "How do I keep this?" Awareness asks, "What is this doing to me?" That question is uncomfortable, but it's the only one that leads somewhere real. The answer to manipulation is not coldness. It's not treating every person as a threat. It's not building a life behind walls. Nearly 2,000 years ago, Epictetus gave a warning that still feels uncomfortably modern. Do you feel no shame in handing over your own mind to be confused and mystified by anyone who happens to verbally attack you? We protect our bodies. We protect our possessions. We protect our image. But most people leave the mind completely unguarded. One silence creates panic. One accusation dismantles a boundary. Another person's disappointment makes us betray what we know is true. Real protection isn't paranoia. Paranoia sees enemies everywhere. It closes the heart. Discernment sees patterns clearly. It protects the heart without shutting it. The difference is this. Paranoia says, trust no one. Discernment says, trust slowly. And don't abandon yourself just to be close to someone. Clear values make you harder to confuse. Healthy boundaries make guilt less effective as a weapon. The ability to sit with discomfort makes urgency less powerful. A stable sense of worth makes approval less addictive. Facing your own shadow makes shame a weaker tool against you. Self-awareness is not just a spiritual concept, it is psychological armor. Here is what no one tells you about manipulation. It does not always end when you leave. It begins to end when you stop carrying the version of yourself that made you vulnerable to it. The shame that made accusation so effective. The loneliness that made control feel like closeness. The fear of abandonment that made you negotiate away pieces of yourself for years. These things do not disappear just because the person does. They look for a new pattern, a new person, a new situation where the same wound can repeat itself. And that is why awareness is not a destination, it is a practice. The next time you feel suddenly small, suddenly guilty, suddenly rushed, suddenly desperate to explain yourself to someone who is not even asking, pause. Do not obey the feeling. Listen to it. Ask where it came from. Ask who benefits if you act from it. Ask whether this is your truth, or only your fear wearing the mask of your truth. Because the mind can be guided without chains. The heart can be pressured without visible force. A person can be manipulated for years while believing they are simply choosing peace. But the moment you begin to notice, something shifts. The spell does not break dramatically. There is no single revelation. It weakens, slowly. Every time you pause instead of react. Every time you ask why before you comply. Every time you choose honest discomfort over false peace. And if one of these patterns felt familiar, do not rush to explain it away. Sit with it. And if you want to, write in the comments. What was the moment I started doubting myself? Not for attention, not for confession, but because sometimes naming the pattern is the first step in breaking it. Maybe real freedom does not look like rebellion. Maybe it looks like the quiet moment when you stop, breathe, and realize, this thought is inside me, but that does not mean it belongs to me. And the moment you can see the difference, you have already begun to come back to yourself,